Hi. If you're joining me, please forgive my screen. The goal of this video is really just to walk you through the steps of the setup of the portfolio assessment, so how we set up at the beginning of each semester, the steps that are taken throughout that semester to keep faculty informed, and finally, the steps that we must follow in order to execute the end of semester um, portfolio assessment. So I'm starting here just to kind of take us first to the documents that we'll need that help us with executing the goals of our um, assessment plan. So let me show you that first. So we go to our SharePoint, our department page is where most of the important documents are housed. I won't say most, I'll say all of our assessment documents are housed. So let me go straight to our Malcolm X English Literature and Speech SharePoint page, okay? And this is where once we are kind of coming back each semester, um, this is where I always go first to begin my setup process. So generally, the setup process will begin with several documents. One document is our assessment plan, our departmental assessment plan. If you have not checked that out, please take time to kind of go through it. It really lays out a clear um, rationale as to why we utilize portfolios, its overall goal, not only with improving, learning in the classroom, but also um, the evidence of that learning, in students at the end of the semester. So the assessment plan lays out quite a bit of important information. So let me start there. Now, what I did with the assessment plan is we have it listed under um, portfolio assessment information. So even though we refer to it as, departmental assessment, all of that information is found under portfolio assessment information. So a lot of times instructors will ask you questions about portfolio. They'll ask you a question about our assessment methods. Um, in some cases, I can kind of give them the quick version, the abbreviated version, but more than likely what I do is I point them to this document. So here under portfolio assessment information, we see that there are several documents here. Most important that I just talked about is the assessment plan. The important thing about our recent assessment plan, you see the 2019 to 2022 plan. The good thing about this plan is that it lays out each semester what your SLO focus should be, okay? So perhaps maybe you've thought, if you participated in it before, that we just kind of pick a SLO focus. That focus is already pre-picked for us. It's already pre-selected in our assessment plan. So when you would come here as portfolio coordinator, you would look for what is our SLO focus this semester, um, as well as taking the information that we learned from last semester's assessment and bringing that to the table in order to improve practices. So when you come into the departmental SharePoint, when you go into the assessment plan, the 2019-2022, you're coming here ready to set up assessment for the next semester. So you're coming here again, main goal is for setup. So let me scroll a little bit. Rationale, really important. Rationale is also included in our student letters that we give to instructors at the start of every semester. So I'll show that for you as well. But let me take you here. Let me pull out a quick annotation tool. If you see here where my arrow is, it lays out the individual SLO per cycle. So we are starting spring 2021. Okay, so as you can see here, the SLO focus department-wide is organization and development. Okay, so what that means is I go to our SLOs. So that could be, or English 101, I go to that particular SLO and just see specifically, what does it entail? What are we looking for in the writing or the work? And with that information, I just make sure that instructors are aware to pay close attention to this outcome specifically. Now, we work on all of the outcomes for the course, but by having a highlighted outcome, it gives us an opportunity to kind of zero in on our efforts. What are we doing in the classroom to help with organization and development? What does that look like? What does that mean? So again, you've been on the other end of this before, where you as faculty member will execute particular rubrics, where for the diagnostic at the beginning of the semester and the reflective essays at the end of the semester, we take a moment to specifically target the outcome, organization, and development. And we're looking, you know, um, through the work that's been presented to see how the student is meeting this particular outcome. So you see here that the assessment plan is not only useful, of course, in breaking down the rationale, specifically laying out our practices, the principles behind those practices, but it's also useful in pointing you in the direction each semester for our SLO focus. Okay, so you see that. You'll come here and you'll know that. All right. So to set this all up, let me come out of this. And let's go back to our original SharePoint under portfolio assessment information to those documents. Okay. So with that assessment plan 2019-2022, again, a lot of times when I get questions from instructors, I normally will point them here. Okay. So get them used to coming out and seeking out that information. If not, they will rely on you to answer every question about that document. And a lot of work has gone into it, so kind of point them there. All right, so in addition to that portfolio assessment folder, we also attempt to organize per semester. So you'll see where it says spring 2020 assessment, right? There's also a fall, there was a fall 2019. So I've kind of been replacing them, but you would want to come in and set up a spring 2021 assessment folder. And in setting up that folder, you would want to give instructors one place to go in order to find all of the necessary documents that they'll need. Okay. So in terms of setup, we know that that includes, of course, the review of the assessment plan, but it also includes things such as syllabus blurbs, the student letter, right, that we attach to our Brightspace page that serves almost as a resource for students. Not only does it, inform them of the process, so it helps in terms of transparency, but it also allows you as instructor the opportunity to answer any questions that students may have in efforts to better prepare them for the end of semester assessment. So for spring 2021, I would recommend that you come here to the SharePoint page, our department SharePoint page. You set up under our portfolio assessment information, a spring 2021 assessment folder. Now, what I did is I used the spring 2020 document and then built that for the fall. So if you can see, it has fall 2020 documents in here. That may be confusing, but if you wanted to clarify, perhaps make it a little bit more easier to navigate, I would perhaps recommend you start a spring 2021 assessment folder and then fill that folder with the documents that instructors will need as they are planning and preparing for their courses. So we have the sample diagnostic prompts. I know that there's going to be pushed this semester by Morgan, since she is the Dev Ed liaison. She's our Dev Ed coordinator in the department. There's a push this semester for all instructors, that's the English 96 and the English 101, to execute diagnostics, if not on day one, absolutely week one. So you kind of want to, if you can, highlight this for the instructors. Let them know the importance of diagnostics, getting those done and knocked out, if not on day one, week one. So that information is here again in this one-stop shop. Reflective letter prompts, the blurb that goes for the syllabus. Now you see here how there is a blurb for the spring and a blurb for the fall. Kind of make sure that if you, in starting your own folder, you label it appropriately. Secret is, the only thing I go in and change on these documents, and here, let me click on it so I can show you. The only thing that I go in and change on this document is the date. So that is the reason why there may be more than one listed. It's just simply reflecting the date. So here again is the syllabus blurb. It is mandatory that all instructors include this on their syllabus. So we have that there. We also have fillable forms, and this is really important. Let me show this to you. Fillable forms, since we have moved into a remote existence with our assessment, all of our rubrics are done electronically. We utilize Microsoft Word. They call them Microsoft Forms. So I include a list of fillable forms. And I did include one for fall 2020. But you do want to come in and update all of this. I'm thinking that I might try to set this up for you, Mitchell. I'm going to put a pin on this. We may talk offline about the fillable forms, but let me just show you where you can find them. Again, this is really important. In the past, as portfolio coordinator, when I would reach out to faculty members during faculty development week, so normally that week before we would start classes, I'll attempt to give them a jump on all of this information. You know, don't forget to check out the assessment plan. Go through and look at the spring 21 folder under portfolio assessment. So I kind of try to, again, give them the information early, lay it out so that it's easily accessible. So what I'll normally would do is just go in and update this information. So I would change this to fillable forms, spring 2021. Well, I don't want to change it. It'll change it in real time. But again, I'll go over this with you offline. But we do have a document. Once you send out that initial email, I normally will point instructors to where they can find it if they ever need to, go back, and locate the information. So one of the most important dates with our portfolio assessment is that end of semester department-wide scoring day. So I try to let them know that from day one. So that is reiterated. If you remember anything from previous semesters, you know how many emails you normally get about portfolio, about that department-wide scoring day. So I do make multiple efforts to inform faculty about that, and I also included here on the fillable form. So I have that information there. From there, I lay out everything that instructors will need to help get them to this end of semester department-wide scoring. So we have the rubric, that portfolio rubric. Again, we will go in and change those dates. So they would have that link here. Now, what I'm also sharing with you will be via email will be the master links. So this is the links that we are sharing with instructors, but you as portfolio coordinator, you will have a master link to these particular forms. So you will be able to go in and see the data. You'll be able to see the responses. Really make sure that whatever you do not share the master form. Okay, so that's why I'll share that with you separately, just to kind of help keep that organized. But again, in our portfolio assessment folder in our SharePoint department page, I include this document, updated, of course, that lays out all of the necessary forms that they'll need throughout that semester. So we have that portfolio rubric. We have the SLO forms. We know that for spring 2021, it is organization and development. So we would update that. I'll send you the master rubric on this because you will need to go in and make changes to the questions that are being asked. Okay. And I'll help you with that. Right. So again, I have that document here in our department page to have a serve as a resource, a one-stop shop for instructors to kind of go and get that information. Okay. Student letter. We also have the student letter. Let me click on this. The student letters each semester, they have been the same. So you do not have to go in and recreate the wheel. All you would need to do is just change this date. So we can change it to spring 2021. Look, I'm doing that now, but it would still need to be updated in the actual link. So I'll do that. Okay. All right, so you see that with me adding, making that particular change, it changed in real time in SharePoint. Be careful when you are using SharePoint. Do your best if you're making any changes to the documents, and please hear me on this. If you're making any changes to these documents, you may want to first download the document to your page, because sometimes while you're editing, you're kind of working through it. But if you are making any changes on this document, it's saved in real time. So whether you make a change in error, whether you made it by, maybe you thought a particular document or information you included was correct, just know anything you type in SharePoint. So once you click on that document in SharePoint and you begin to work on it, it's saving in real time. So what I've always done, anytime I'm making any changes to any documents here, I download it first in Word, then I make the changes, I save it, and then I bring it to upload to our department page. Okay. So many times, coordinators, and not just for portfolio coordinators, for ARC, anything, sometimes instructors themselves will come in and they'll want a document, but then they'll want to change it for their class, and they do so in SharePoint. Well, what they did is they just have changed and altered that original document. So keep in mind, you want to use this information as templates, but any changes that you make to it, you may want to download it to your computer, make the changes, save it, and then bring it back here to upload it. Okay. So use this as a model. All right. There should be, and let me go back, a folder under portfolio assessment information for spring 2021 assessment. Okay. And then from there, you would add all of your information. All right. One more thing to show you in terms of setting up what's best practices for preparing for the portfolio or assessment season is those emails. So here's what I would do. Let me take you back to my Outlook. And what I do, or what I would recommend, is go through your check-in, because this is what I've done throughout my time as portfolio coordinator as well. Let's say that I put in Let me just say I put in assessment check-in. I really want to stress to you the importance of not feeling like you have to recreate the wheel. The good thing about you coming in as portfolio coordinator is that this information is already set up. It's just about how you present this information to the faculty, okay? So every semester, again, as I pointed out, normally during faculty development week or within that first week of classes, I will normally send an email out that checks in with faculty, okay? And I normally will contact Tanya Gilmer for a list of all um, English 101 and English 96 instructors so that I can kind of make sure everybody is included in the communication. And I'll send out a email check-in that breaks down that early semester information, kind of shows them where they can find all of the documents that they need. It again, of course, lays out and reiterates that end of semester department-wide scoring so that they can kind of start making plans now to be available. But in that check-in, I brought you here because I normally go to old emails that I've sent. Hold on. Sorry about this, forgive me. So normally I'll look at dates. So let me go to anything that's in January. Normally it is where I can find my information for any check-ins. So hold on. Sorry. All right, sorry, Mitchell. Look, I'm trying to find um something that I thought would be easy to locate. Oh, let me try this. All right, so here's one. Hopefully you can see this. But yeah, I'll go through and you can go through my old emails. I know when Rachel was the portfolio coordinator, sometimes I go back to her old emails. But I go through my sent box and I look at the check-in emails that came in from previous semesters. And I use that same format. Like again, I treat it as though it is a template. Now, each semester, of course, there will be changes, there'll be updates, there'll be adjustments to how we've done things. So of course you would be mindful of that. But I would just look at the formatting. I would look at the steps that they took to link documents, and I would mimic that, you know, kind of use that. So I encourage you in setting up your first check-in of the semester, look back over what has been sent previously, and I will email you a few. Now, this is all simply a recommendation. You do not have to do this. You can kind of set out, you know, chart your own path. You know, that's perfectly okay. So with check-ins, especially in the age of COVID, sometimes I would do video check-ins. So I would email YouTube videos, those that I recorded with Zoom, and just so that I wouldn't burden them with very long emails, because what I know a lot of times is they will not read very long emails. So if you can, try to make your check-in emails, make them bulleted if you can, make them targeted and succinct. So try to make them as clear as possible. Kind of what we learned in the Brightspace training, highlight, underline, maybe larger font when you want to emphasize information. All of that is important. But again, in reaching out to the faculty, utilize check-ins. And I would normally check in during, of course, the week before or the week that the semester starts. I would check in normally around 6 weeks. That would be a check-in where I would kind of encourage instructors to start progress reports, start identifying students who may be struggling, who may need um, additional uh, action plans, right? Where we may need to pull in tutoring, where we may need to pull in advisors or things like that. I normally will send a check-in with that. Um, I also send check-ins as portfolio coordinator with my ARC faculty about midterm. Midterm is really important with ARC, as an ARC instructor with the practice CRT. So I normally will send checkouts around these times, right? Week 6, midterm. The midterm check-ins are really important. What you want to do with midterm check-ins is touch base. Um, Try to, if you can, set up a meeting or an opportunity again to touch base, find out how have things been going in the classroom, what are some things that have been working, what hasn't been working, how are we doing in preparing students for the portfolio. Midterm is really an important time to kind of check the pulse of assessment, see what's going on. Are we running into any issues? Um, Midterm is the best time to address those. If you noticed with previous portfolio coordinators, we would have range finding sessions. And the range finding sessions are useful, even though, look, I am still trying to get those right. um, but the range finding sessions are definitely important because it allows seasoned faculty members, newer faculty members, adjunct faculty members, it allows us to kind of sit down, look at our scoring practices, take a look at what we value, and as a group, as a department, make sure that we're all on the same page. So when we think about email correspondence, when we think about those check-ins, schedule at least 3. And I say at least 3, as in that early semester, mid semester, so that's week 6 or 8, and towards the end of semester. So normally right when I am reminding instructors of the last day to withdraw, for student withdrawal. Normally, I'll reiterate some important information, especially with e-portfolios. So schedule for at least 3 check-ins. But of course, you can check in more than that. Also schedule meetings. Now, this is something that Tanya may reach out to you about these first weeks of the semester. And look, I'm sorry, Mitchell, to kind of be going on and on while you're looking at my email. But use Tanya. She is a resource for the department. And what she does is, under you as project coordinator, you are responsible for making sure that adjuncts get paid, that they set aside special assignment hours for meetings, for them attending these check-ins, right? Or attending any, what I'll do, which you can't see, air quote, required meetings, okay? So I'll again reach out to you via email to forward emails that I've had in the past with Tanya and Morgan about that, just so you can kind of see how that looks. But again, let me reiterate, at the beginning of every semester that you will work as project coordinator, Tanya will normally contact you at the beginning of each semester and say, okay, what is the special assignment hours? So that's how many hours are you offering required, and this is, I'm doing air quotes, you can't see me, but where you are requiring that faculty attend, information sessions, professional development sessions, anything having to do with portfolio or assessment, okay? Last semester, for instance, I set aside 6 hours. And what I did is I had 2 hours set aside for meetings, check-in meetings, one being the range finding. And then I had 4 hours set aside for end of semester scoring. So to help promote or motivate participation, especially with adjunct faculty, um, we give those special assignment hours where they have the opportunity to be paid for their attendance of certain, meetings. So Tanya will reach out with you about that. I'll send you what information I have, but if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me and let me know. All right, so another thing that I wanted to cover with you before I close out is the end of semester assessment plans. All right, let me take us back to our SharePoint page. So I've kind of taken you through what we do at the beginning of the semester in terms of setup, right? What we do to prepare not only our students, but also faculty for the assessment process, especially our end of semester e-portfolio assessment. Okay, so we know about that. But there's also an end of semester protocol as portfolio coordinator that you are responsible for. And that is taking the results from the end of semester scoring and putting that in a document that kind of lays out its findings, right? So previously, I had mentioned to you about the fillable forms. So let me take us there really quickly. The easiest way for me to normally navigate is I normally always click on documents. And it kind of takes me from there. So we know that all of our documents according to assessment is under portfolio assessment information. Come in here. And what you'll see is we talked about assessment plan, yes. Let me go here. I may try to come in and make this a little bit easily identifiable, if you know what I mean when I say that. But again, you will be setting up a spring 2021 assessment folder. So I guess we can clean it up in that process. But let me show you something. Not only do we do the look, I'm sorry, I'm looking and talking at the same time. Fillable forms. There's also a document we produce at the end. Oh, here it is right here. Past assessment reports. Okay. So you click on portfolio assessment information, and then you come here. Oh, and here's where I added the fall 2020 assessment. So earlier where I was showing you what was in the spring 2020, here is where when I went in and set up my own fall 2020 assessment folder. You will be setting up spring 2021 folder, and you can just simply copy these documents and add them there, but you of course would just want to be updating them. So it would be blurb for spring 2021, all of those things. You can also see with fall 2020, I included everything e-portfolio. So because we didn't do e-portfolio assessment in the spring of 2020, you saw in that assessment folder, we didn't have anything about e-portfolios. But with the fall 2020 assessment, you see all of that information here, okay? But what I wanted to show you, look, I digress a tad, but what I wanted to show you is that end of the semester, the portfolio coordinator is also responsible for writing a assessment report. Okay, so let me show you past assessment reports so you get an idea of what that looks like. So in the past, what is this, 2016, 2017, I've written reports. 2018, Rachel, 2019, Rachel wrote those reports. For for fall 2020, I am responsible for writing that report. So based on the data that we received from the all of the hundreds of e-portfolio rubrics that were submitted. We use that data to write up a final report, right? To write up our findings. So let me show you, first let me show you the report, and then I'll kind of double back and show you where you would normally get the data. Let me show you the most recent. So I see she has two here, but oh no, sorry, this is 2020. It says 2019 here, but this is the 2020 report. So I see how this is where those things can sometimes, when it's not labeled right, it can confuse you. But let me show you this portfolio assessment report. So let me look at this PDF. All right, let me go back. Let me look at this Word document. All right, so again, using the portfolio reports of the past, I simply treat it as a template. I come in, and of course I update any information. So it's not like I am totally borrowing from a previous semester. I'm simply just using the style, the organization of the letter to communicate the current findings. So when you get a chance, go in and take a look at the portfolio end of semester portfolio reports. It gives a breakdown or snapshot of what took place during assessment. What areas did we as a department identify as being problem areas? Where did we really excel? Where do we perhaps need to focus our teaching efforts? And perhaps what do we need to amend or revise? So we've been working on all of that. You know, with our discussion of anti-racist assessment. So all of that is taken into consideration when you write that end of semester report. Now, when I say end of semester report, it's important to know that you can write it at the end of the semester. Look, I may be a procrastinator, but I normally, after we go through assessment, I normally need a break. So I normally come back during the week before we come back for faculty development week. So that week before classes begin, I normally use that time to write out the assessment report, okay? If I can finish it the week before faculty development week, I try to get it done then, because normally when we have our faculty development week departmental meetings, we normally discuss the findings. So I try to have it done and completed again prior to faculty development week. But again, as assessment coordinator, this is another task we are charged with. So it breaks down things that we looked for. So it's talking about that SLO focus. So with the 2021 spring, we are looking at organization and development. So you would talk about that, what its goals were, what that looks like in the classroom, our efforts to improve in that. You kind of lay that out. Also with ARC. Now this data, if you can see this, let me use Spotlight. So this data here, this is what comes from those fillable forms. So if you remember me saying that not only do we share fillable forms, but you also have access to a master form. You are able to see all of the results from the end of semester assessment. Every instructor who completed a rubric, who looked at an e-portfolio and recorded results, it will show up in that master form. So what you're looking at here, this visual, this came from the form. So they here, Rachel copied and pasted here. It gives the breakdown, which is the main reason why we utilize Microsoft Forms. It calculates automatically. In the past, if you saw that I used to write it in 2016 and 2017, it was all done manual. And if you can imagine us counting multiple rubrics, counting how many times someone selected no, in terms of scoring criteria, how many times someone selected yes. We used to do that manually. The good thing about the forms is that it does it for us. So here you can kind of see the results of those forms. Okay, so it breaks down here. I attempt to, when you write the plan, assessment findings, when you write that, you kind of add a blurb based on what you saw, right, as a assessment coordinator. Where I noticed, let's say, for instance, that students received the most no's in, right? I normally will focus on that as pointing to the department that this is something that's going on in the classroom where the majority of students aren't getting learning in this area. We need to make sure we are taking a look at this. So the assessment report is really important in that end. There is a lot of scrutiny at City Colleges of Chicago right now about the data, about how our assessments are working, especially in the age of the pandemic. So these reports are really important now. The department, the provost, they are really tapping us on the shoulder for this information. So having it clearly communicated in this plan is the reason why our department specifically has one of the strongest assessment plans. All right, so you see that when you get a chance, come in and take a look at the plan. You can see that each scoring criteria here we break down. There's 10 scoring criteria total, so they took the assessment plan breaks down the findings of each criteria. So we do that quick blurb for each. Then it kind of ends with an overall finding, right? So we have those areas of concern. We talk about the pass rate, we talk about the fail rate, we talk about what we may need to do moving into the next semester, okay? We talk about student resources and their impact. Now, Rachel did start this spring 2020 at the at the onset of the pandemic. So she was aware that some of the results may be impacted by the current pandemic. So we do include that in the report because it's definitely pertinent. And then at the end again, so that was English 96 you saw. We have a breakdown for English 101. As portfolio coordinator, you're responsible for communicating both in your assessment findings. So again, I'll show you where to find the information that you will plug into this plan. Okay, so we see that here. And here, what Rachel is including, and I know you're like, oh my goodness, what is this? She includes some samples. So sometimes some samples are included. So you may see that. Hold on, another thing I want to show you. Towards the end, if you see how we're getting a little bit more with dense paragraphs, this is now she's going into explanation. She's explaining what the results mean, what they show us is taking place in the classroom, what they are informing us we may need to emphasize or kind of give more attention to. So it gives all of that. It also gives the results of any surveys that were sent out. And I know that took place a lot at the start of the pandemic, just to kind of see what students were struggling with. I don't think we sent so many out in 2020, but all of that information is here for you to take a look at. So sorry if I spent too much time here. But I know when I started as assessment coordinator, no one had really told me about well, yeah, actually they did. I think no one had really told me about all that the final assessment findings entail. So I was kind of overwhelmed at first about what all needed to go into that report. So hopefully that sheds a little bit of light on what we're doing with the end of semester reports. Okay. So basically, I've been a little long-winded, but with this, the goal of this video is just to kind of give you some training, some background into the role of assessment coordinator. Um, Another goal of the video is to support you and to um, encourage you that while it may seem daunting, um, there are those who went before you that have kind of helped to lay it out for you. So take advantage of that, definitely. So I had already spoke about with your check-ins, um, utilizing previous emails, perhaps using them as templates, just in terms of helping you identify what needs to be discussed in those emails. So use that when you go to our department page, our SharePoint page. Be mindful of the setup of portfolio, right? Set up your own spring 2021 portfolio assessment folder. Make sure in that folder you include all of the documents that instructors will need this semester in order to be successful. Another good tip with that, look at the fall 2020 folder that I previously set out. You can go directly into that folder and take things out that you'll need. Just making sure, of course, that you change the date on them. Another quick reminder, in changing anything you find on SharePoint, on our SharePoint page, keep in mind, whatever change you make, it is happening in real time. So if you are just only doing this for your particular semester, then save it, make your changes, and then upload it to SharePoint, okay? So again, be mindful of that. Lastly, although I'm operating as chair this semester, I'm still definitely available to help you with any questions that you may have. So please feel free to use me as a resource as well. If you have any other questions about anything that was discussed in this video, feel free to reach out via email, but I'm also going to send you my cell phone number, Mitchell. So if you, again, have any questions, I am empowering you to contact me, email me, call me. It is no problem or bother at all. Okay. So thanks so much for taking over. I'm so excited. I definitely think we have the right person for this particular role within our department. And I look forward to working with you more throughout the semester. All right. Thanks so much and have a good day.